these squads, and I'm absolutely pumped to get into this one. Things start off on Chalet. Let's go play in the snow, folks. It's BDS here with the band.
Band's coming up, and indeed, as Stokes said, first band coming in here is going to be Nomad, removing some of that anti-roam capability from W7M. Hopefully should allow once more for the more aggressive members of BDS to kind of have their way with the opening minute or two of each round here. Just gives that little bit of extra freedom. Still plenty of ways W7M can look to counter that out. Just Nomad's one of the very direct ways to deal with that. But obviously will no longer be the case as she's been banned out. W7M has the response to it, and the final attacker-sided ban. It's going to be a repeat from yesterday's game from BDS's side, as well as Dokkaebi still going to be very commonly banned out here.
Yeah, not a shocker. She's just so unbelievably potent. It's like, what the heck do you even do with something like that? You got Gones, you got everything available to you, so.
Now away from that, the second man coming in on the defensive side, or the first man for the defensive side. Second man for W7M, Valkyrie. We've been seeing her get banned out quite often as well, and that's been the case for like a year or two now, so that shouldn't really surprise anyone in that respect. And then the final ban comes through now. It'll be from BDS. They're going to knock out Mira, another operator we've seen very commonly banned out on maps like this where she does have those power positions to use it, especially inside of basement. Those can be the make or break difference. Areas like library can be heavily played into with Mira windows as well, so they want to remove that factor entirely. It's a bit of a self-handicap, obviously, as they were starting out on the defensive side. But certainly one that they should be able to play around without too much of an issue. Let's get in with those. Round number one's getting started. Looks like we'll have a bar gaming defense for BDS.
Starting things off at the bar. Gonna play a few games over in the other room. Obviously gonna be holding on to the top floor as well. Been seeing a lot of teams over the last handful of months try and go more direct with this site, and I try and go for the full clear. So we'll see what happens here for W7M. And speaking of W7M, they got a little bit of a tech issue right now, so we're gonna get that solved before we throw them into their very first round, just to make sure that everything is working appropriately. Nobody ends up having an advantage that we did not end up noticing.
It's going to be KZ over there. Just a little bit of a check real quickly to do with his computer, and then hopefully we should be able to get back into it. In fact, we already are. Let's go live with the first round here. I was once going to keep in mind, we do have repick enabled, so we could see some change-ups here to W7M's lineup once they get a better feel for things on the actual site, but it already matches up pretty well with what we'll more than likely be getting. Despite that, though, Nade has already swapped over the Hard Breach. Just a small change-up, though, as he's going to go from the more normal Thermite to the Ace, just to give him that little bit extra flexibility here if he needs to kind of play things from range. Quite a few changes actually coming in as well. The Brava also being added. She was banned out when we played this map for BDS and OXG yesterday, so she's going to be a new addition into this one. That'll be great for dealing with some of these extended setups like you're seeing the Lems and Shaiko deploy towards now over here inside of the office. Any supporting utility can be dealt with a lot more easily by those drones. And of course, the Candelas have also been swapped in as a replacement for the Lion, and not going to necessarily need that anti-roam capability. They feel like here, the Candelas will be much better for the actual execute, and I tend to agree with that. As we saw in yesterday's game here, some teams are struggling to kind of establish that necessary positioning, especially if they're going to try to work the hatch, so you may need those Candelas for that extra bit of a burst to kind of get you into the site and get started with your entries.
Absolutely. W7M, like a lineup here, a vicious one at that. Plenty of ways to try and dissect this map, and this Brava pick is going to be the biggest thing. Fleapox is going to have to try and dance around a lot of the different defenders here. Brava practically a more malleable Twitch at the end of the day. Doesn't have the F2 or the 417, but still has some powerful weapons in that incredible drone that so many pros have been using to its maximum efficiency. KZ, he's going to pop in. It's going to be a trade, but no nade. Instead, he'll take down Bride. W7M burst onto site, and they're already eliminating BDS. Oh, well, guess what, BDS? It's a whole different world today, isn't it? Chalet is not going to be nearly as easy against this Brazilian powerhouse.
The first time BDS really having to deal with something like that so far in this tournament. A sudden burst as we have no reinforcements, no capability to hold back. Just a sudden flood of player count from the inside of the basement.
Not a breach, no verticality, nothing. Just simply, this is my damn site, and I'm going to do what I please.
I mean, they find a hole in the defense, and they just immediately pierce it. It's beautifully played by W7M right there. Fairly simple, but simple it works.
Hey,
yeah.
Hey man, keep it simple, stupid. I'm so serious. That's the best way to keep about things. And you know what the beauty of that round was for W7M? Not only did they have some stuff going on the top floor, but look at the trade game here from W7M. They recognized what was going on inside of the bar area, and they put two bodies on that, John.
Yep.
So that way when the first guy goes down, it isn't like the other dude's a country mile away and isn't going to be able to help him out. And that's why W7M is so quickly capable of taking that round.
Like you mentioned there as well, some great distractions going on the top end, just making sure that as you're seeing these rotates come through, more than likely BDS thinking, okay, there's a full rush on site, more than likely they're all focused on it. Nope, that's not the case. They've got, in fact, a full building cross, at least as far as that front library side is concerned, to take care of anyone that tries to rotate in and cut off those players that wanted to push in from the basement. Beautiful job from W7M there, just completely countering out the positional setup for BDS that round.
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, I've been off for a little while, so Fresh and I were talking about this a little bit yesterday, kind of talking about what that setup looks like inside of game, and that's exactly what you expect out of the defense. You expect them to try and hold that map control, and that's why that direct motive works so incredibly well, especially with the strategy that W7M had there, as John was referencing. They were able to hold that entire top floor, but not really dedicate themselves into the building, instead just holding the rotations, and that's really what you're looking to do in a situation like that, and obviously a detriment to BDS, and one that proved to be a flawless round for W7M, as not a single person has actually lost their life yet, just a single down.
Brine is able to snipe
Shaiko's
away
dead.
that extra claw, and yeah, Shaiko's getting caught this time by Filippo. This is a very fast-moving W7M in this game as well. They were mentioning it, Brine is going to be able to hold down the hatches a little bit more here because he saved that second electric claw, but as you notice, the wall itself for Snowmobile Garage is long gone, just under 60 seconds into the round.
It almost feels as though BDS has to walk this back a bit. This strategy it's not loose, it's just very wide, and that makes it to where W7M can really exploit a lot of these single-digit players. Renshiro taking a lot of damage. That's going to be for the cross angle there from KZ, but he should be able to skimper off, and that's going to be one boon for BDS that they desperately need, and finally, they're awake. The P90 will rip KZ to shreds, and BDS finally on the right foot.
Yeah, it takes a moment for them to be able to figure out how to properly counter out some of this very early aggression coming in from W7M. Now they've locked in for it. Renshiro as well as Lightback doing an excellent job here to be able to counter out this early aggression. Birds will pop open the hatch, hopefully leave a secondary angle open for him to work later on in the round if necessary. Won't be the only one playing for the front side, but there's still a few players roaming around from BDS over here on Solarium's side that have yet to have been dealt with, and certainly need to dedicate a flank watch to that now. That's probably what this drone is meant to do, indeed. It'll scout out Lem's position, force him back for a few seconds, but it is also going to prompt one of the members from W7M to be permanent flank watch for when that player reignites their aggression in a few seconds. You can already see Lems sneaking back over towards dining room, but Filippo, dedicated to the take now, does go down through the hatch. Shouldn't leave them too exposed to that flank, but they're going to have to be careful of it eventually. That's what Hertz is trying to do here now. There's the entry power coming through. 3 kills back to back to back from W7M. Lem strikes, but he's too late. The entire Insight defense has fallen to pieces. Once again, great job by W7M working the site take there, and with much more difficulty mounting against them this time as well.
A triple kill out of the ace, too, to cap it off. Incredible rounds here from W7M. Much more stalwart appearance from BDS as they were trying to stay tried and true to the strategy, keep that roam going, but not working out for them. Again, this very spread positioning from BDS is allowing W7M to do what they do best, find these frags and try and open up this map. Yes, it didn't initially work out for them as BDS is able to get the man advantage, but W7M go one step further. They know that they have site control and know that they're able to box out BDS from the most important portion of that site. Like you see here, Herd's already having control of blue, and they also had the Ash drop down on the stuns through the hatch over inside of Fireplace Hall to mask the sound, John. So they had no idea about any positioning of W7M at all. They just had to trust their gut and stop that plan.
It was a great thing we got that the POV of that double kill from Hertz too, because it just shows you the kind of jumbled positioning that BDS is working with there to try to recover from that entry power, which had suddenly showed up against them. Great stuff. BDS just don't know when to expect W7M to come knocking. That's been a huge issue for them so far. But to be fair to BDS, they've already done a much better job of improving their resistance, specifically in that early to mid-round portion, as we were seeing them slow down the overall take speed from W7M. They're on the first floor. Now we just need to see them slowly figure this out a little bit more, find better ways to resist the actual site take in the late round too, and we should hopefully start seeing a few rounds pop on the board for BDS as well.
Yeah. BDS are practically playing a game against the best pitcher in the league right now. You just don't know what's going to be coming out of his hand. Could be the seam, could be the curve, could be the fast. W7M, they're good for all of it. Every single one of these things landing. And I also just love the fact that no matter what the mana count is, they're always adapting. They're always trying to find a solution. And that is something that I always harp on when it comes to Rainbow Six Siege. You have got to be solving these problems with your team. If you are not talking and solving problems, you've already lost the battle. There's no way anything's going to work out for you. What a read, but Shaiko! No, it's Renshiro this time around. End up shutting him down. KZ's going to try and hop in as well, but oh, the Fear Gas, it works up against Renshiro. An assist right out of the mine. Nate will be able to finally take him down in very similar circumstances to what we saw in round 2.
First real kind of overextension we see there from W7M, where they arguably need to use a little bit more than necessary to take that player down. JV is going to get caught here.
Mines,
yeah,
man.
those dread mines are brutal. Once you get tagged by it as well, that's it. You're locked in for that full 5 or so seconds of blind for the most part. So very, very difficult, especially if you're going for an entry. And here's the problem. He's been distracted by it. Now it's Lycofact. No, he caught it. JV92. Nicely done here as Lycofact cannot get away with one like we were seeing in yesterday's game. 1 and 3 so far here. Whereas we were seeing much better results from him in the OXG game. Still early days, though, so plenty of time for improvement in that part.
I think the craziest damn thing about this is how W7M is kind of forcing BDS to play the game so early on. We're only a minute and a half in right now, and they're able to process this entire portion of the floor because of the timing and the way that they played this early round.
Even with the players they're losing potentially on that first or second entry, W7M are not doing what a lot of other teams do, where they kind of like take a step back, reanalyze it, maybe send another drone in. They're like, nope, we're just send another player in. Like, we'll try it again.
Flowing.
And as we saw, it was a little bit questionable because it brought them down to the 3v4 there a second ago, but now they've countered Lycofact. We're back on even numbers. Still a risky take, especially with Shaiko's position, but he's going to rotate back down, and now Brede will get caught. Nade won't have an easy path out of here because of Shaiko's position, but Nade now has connector control as well. Shaiko, the only one that remains here. Suddenly, this is flipped against him, but a good first pick. At least reopens the rotation. JV92, though, immediately counters, and yet again, it's a W7M round. 3-0 in their favor.
Do they call a timeout already? That's the real question. I feel like the adjustments are starting to come through for BDS. The defensive side of Chalet is never all too favorable.
I don't think we'll see it here.
So,
we're wrong.
I was right.
BDS do go to the timeout. Like I do agree with you though. BDS has been like getting closer and closer to that round win every single round. So this is a bit of a double-edged sword in the tax boss, because obviously they're going to be able to discuss more specifically what's been going wrong on a round-to-round basis, but that also gives W7M a moment here, obviously, to like, okay, we're doing this thing wrong, so they could come back just as strong as well into round 4 here and fix some of their own mistakes they've been making when it comes to the entry power as well.
It's going to be really difficult for them because W7M are playing so very well right now, John, and it's really not only up to just the mechanical skill of these players, it's a conversation that you can clearly see going on between them and how they're dealing with a lot of the issues that BDS are presenting, like Renshiro upstairs. They had 3 people trying to solve that equation all at the same time, which, I mean...
Again, it's so fast right now for W7M.
Listen, if you're on W7M, you look at your teammates and you just kiss them on the forehead, bro. Because, like, I'm telling you, there is very minimal rosters right now in Siege that can play at this level this quickly. Like, this is just
And that's part of the problem for BDS here, problike why they may have decided to take attack time out so
especially
early
for playing against Oxygen yesterday. That was like a walk in the park, man. Like, Oxygen didn't even look like Oxygen.
So BDS is not really being given the time to figure these things out inside of the round itself because of the relative speed that W7M is bringing to the table. So they go for that tack pause there relatively early on, but making perfect sense with an 0-3 start. They've gone through the site rotations now as well here. They've pretty much played out everything they wanted to play more than likely, so hopefully gives full time for reflection from the out-of-game leadership. They are going to go back over here into Dining Room for round 4. We'll have to wait and see if this pause yielded results. Still very similar flair coming out with regards to the operator selection. The Fenrir has made a good impact here today, at least in kind of temporarily slowing down some of the takes from W7M, so I agree with keeping that in play, and the rest of the lineup looks pretty good here as well.
John, I think we're going to be going for something cheeky here in a little bit. Can we see the hatch? The hatch is soft. What's Filippo going to do? Filipox?
This is the problem though. This is too alluring, excuse me, of a hatch to play into. We've seen this done quite a few times, so I think at this point it's something that BDS probably
I don't need it.
Yeah.
I don't need it. We'll have to see what they do with this this hook here, because they do have some potential on the second floor, obviously, so they can try and use that to clear things out. But looks like W7M, once again, John, they're just going to make things so annoying to play around. Some impacts in on the side to make it where you can't play kitchen the way you want to. Looking for the verticality upstairs. You can see KZ looking to his teammates' screen, seeing if everybody's ready for this situation. Takes a gunfight with a Lems, but it's actually going to be Shaiko for 2 instead. This is what we needed. BDS up by 2 players, but Filipox, he's able to take down at least 1. This top floor starting to come into their control, but they still have to dislodge 1 player and behind the piano. In fact, 2, as I do believe there is still 1 upstairs right behind the half wall here in office.
Still a deficit to be played into here by W7M, and an even worse one now with Bride's Nitro hitting the mark against JV92. Filippo still at full HP here as he's going to try to push around the corner, but as you can see, Not the easiest angle to work. No, the swing comes out, but he catches it. Shaiko finally falls after going for 2 earlier in the round. W7M, once again, just like the previous 3 rounds, refused to give up, even with that player deficit. Big problem, though. They've got to work a descent now in a 2v3 scenario, more than likely with a very minimal info base. That's currently what they're going to work on, and they're doing a good job with this, too. They've already spotted Renshiro in this kind of cheeky position by Trophy. There was a second drone roaming around over towards Dining Room. That's probably caught the other 2 players, or at least got a general position on both of them. W7M probably have just enough to at least probably attempt the Solarium take. And indeed, we're going to see both players trying to work that now, as I know it'll be a 2v1. Hopefully they can force that player to rotate. And indeed they do, but Filippo was mid-reload when doing so. So not going to be able to catch him immediately. Nade thinks he has one, but unfortunately it's a double peek from BDS instead to take him down. Case has been dropped, so BDS can lock all their defenses on this one position now. They know that Filippo is going to have to rotate through here at some point to at least pick up the diffuser. There we go. There was the warning for it from the announcer, and unfortunately, Filippo will not be able to get out of there alive. So finally, after 3 consecutive rounds, we do see BDS get onto the board.
Finally able to get away with some kills and not have any repercussions early on. W7M lose those 2 bodies, and yeah, they still try to flirt with that top floor, but BDS just too strong for their 2 positions that they ended up playing, as well as a little bit of utility game coming in there, a little cheeky play from BDS, but either way, very well done. And Shaiko actually with a monstrous hop. That's where that came through. We were on another pomp there for a split second in the game. Well, that ended up happening, but as you can see, BDS just really taking it to W7M in this round, especially after that big play from Shaiko.
BDS finally on the board, finally figuring out how to counter out some of this early aggression from W7M, and now finally, like we said before, holding the line against it to the bitter end as well. W7M has recovered from a deficit at least 2 out of 3 of the rounds they won. Finally, they do falter inside of it. BDS is able to seal the deal. Let's see if this is the beginning of something stronger from BDS if they run the outright comeback now to bring us back to a 3-3 overall scoreline. 2 rounds still to go in this half. Let's see if they get the job done. A few repicks going to come in here for W7. They're relatively minor, though. Not really going to change the scope of the overall team too much. Just the Lion being swapped in there and a slight change to the hard breach to add a secondary one for Ace on Filippo.
The crappy thing right now for BDS is, although they finally found a site that they could potentially win again, they'll never be able to play it again because of the round count. So round 5 and round 6 will lock out Kitchen. BDS are going to have to try and go to some more traditional sites on this map to get things figured out. Impact out from the drone hole, but it's a right-hand panel charge, so it won't work out for Shaiko.
The good news of what you were saying before about how they won a site is I don't think BDS winning that last round there was necessarily because of the site. I think it's just more they finally figured out strategy-wise what they need to do to kind of slow down W7M or outright counter them. So hopefully this is something that they can apply to obviously their basement hold here and whatever they play on round 6 as well. But time will tell.
We'll have to see, Cotton. We will have to see. This round will tell us, John, so we'll see if you're right or wrong. We'll find out, because this is a completely different format of how you're going to be playing Chalet. They're not going to be extended over here towards the Masters side where they have a lot of influence from down low, just because the garage really doesn't provide that except for, you know, Fireplace Hall. But not really going to be seeing maybe too much of that, I would assume.
There's already way more respect being given to BDS now by W7M as well. This is a much more standard kind of opener from them compared to the kind of crazy, like, just, all right, let's suddenly commit 3 people to try to get that entry kill that we've been seeing on the previous few rounds.
To be fair, BDS is completely downstairs as well, so there's not someone that is nearly as isolatable as they were previously. You could say, obviously, as an argument, that Lookafek is in a position to be shot directly in his head, but we'll find out here. The good news is that he's solo, so that's why he can get away with this, but the bad news bears is KZ's directly behind him.
Ooh. KZ gonna see if he can get some timing aids here. Won't work out. Like fact, though, still holds the line. He'll get at least 1, but Filippo immediately trades that out over in the car garage. Filippo will now rejoin his other teammate KZ here on the top side to try and open up the main wine back wall. Sidewall should still be doable as well, given that Nade still has his second thermite charge, and we don't have any immediate counter ability to come in from BDS's side of things. They lost the snowmobile garage wall way too quickly on their last basement defense, so I'm pretty sure they made the decision to just not bring anything this time. It's probably going to end up being smart. Here's the problem, though. They have no way to reinforce these wine walls, and that means it's going to be an open shooting gallery for W7M. To start things out, it works out brilliantly once again for W7M as well. 3 and now 4 kills in a row. They lose no one on the site entry and quickly retake a dominant stance on their lead here at 4-1.
Masterful Rainbow Six play, man. That's all I got to say about it. They are dotting their I's and crossing their T's, making sure that they are aware of what BDS are up to. They know the shenanigans. They're able to solve it because of it. You can see BDS doing their best to try and figure things out for this last round of Chalet, where W7M could take things 5-1 on this half and make things so difficult for BDS going forward. But that doesn't mean that it's all for naught. Remember, Chalet is a pretty offensive-sided map at the end of the day. It'd have a little bit of a switch up when it came to things in recent times, but this map does tend to kind of be a teeter-totter. It's really just up to the teams on what happens at the end of the day.
This is the big problem for BDS. They're still allowing W7M to set up for these executes, and once they reach that point, it doesn't really feel like there's a whole lot that can stop them.
I mean, how do you even stop them from setting up? They're setting up outside of the building, man. They're getting all the info and everything before they do anything at all.
And like you mentioned, BDS already tried to kind of play things a bit more aggressively on their basement hold by having roamers messing around the first and second floor. It didn't work, so they doubled down on the defense in this round. Once again, as you had mentioned there, which kind of slowed down W7M's play, but once again, just allowed them to gain all of that intel beforehand and set up for a perfect execute. In part because BDS had no way to counter the wine walls, but at the same time, even if they brought that, more than likely W7M would have been able to read into that, counter with a Bravo drone or something else relatively quickly too. So there's not really an easy way for BDS to win these situations right now, and that's a big part of the problem why they're lagging behind so hard.
Yeah, that's why I was referencing the kitchen site so hard as well, is because like just the positioning that you're given on that site allows your site players to help you out so much on that top floor, and it's just a much easier roam in comparison to a position like this where you have so much influence coming in from these windows, the grenades and everything. You know, even if EFAC drops down here, there could be somebody on this window that also gives them some grief too. You know, there's just so many different ways for them to try and dislodge these players, and there's no real way for BDS to try and play back into it unless W7M makes some very serious errors.
Flashes and nades being dumped to the inside. Filippo baiting in Renshiro because of the peek from Nade. And then ironically enough, a grenade kills him. So that'll take him down. Nade obviously at very low HP. He'll have to be a little cautious with his aggression throughout the rest of this round. But seeing he's on hard breach, that's probably not going to be too difficult of a job anyway here.
Oh, he's got him.
Swing maybe coming through. There is a Fear Mine sitting up on the top rafters there, so you will have to be careful of that. I don't think the corner swing will get it, but JV92 with the skeleton key. Oh no, just a little too far away to make that one work. Alems goes down to like 2 HP, but is not finished off. Unfortunately, the scattered pattern of the skeleton key just does not get the job done there, so that is going to bring us back down into a 4v3. Still favor for W7M, but obviously a little bit closer now.
Dude, you got to use the sky strategies. You know that are achieved. I heard that from like centuries ago. They used to both run laser all the time on that thing, so the spray pattern would be a heck of a lot easier for them. Makes things a little bit cleaner. Speaking of clean, Lucky trying to keep things straight for BDS here. As well, willing to be able to assist with one kill, BDS with the other. It's down to the 2 versus 3, but we've seen how dastardly W7M have been in these moments.
Angle wars at the moment here as every player is trying to sneak off a shot or two on the inside
saved
of the
his
site.
own life.
Drops down and indeed avoids the explosion from the other side. So we'll keep W7M still at a 2-player count. If they can find that shot onto a Lems, it's obviously going to be much more workable. But he's more than likely buried himself deep into that connector or somewhere else outside of the site to avoid that potential fatality here. Shots come through though. Keys tries to respond to it. Not going to make a connection, unfortunately, as the player crouch ducks away from it. There's the spray out. It's like a fact hiding on the inside of connector, and he'll be dealt with by Filippo. Down to the 2v2, and look at the health pools. BDS, both of their players are one-shottable at this point. W7M just needs the confidence to move forward here and land those shots, and the round is there as a 5-1 scoreline. Could be going their way. As we see, though, that flank coming back around is going to do nothing. KZ gets it all done on his lonesome. His teammate just hiding in the wings if he needed to support it, but no, sir. He manages it all, and it's a 5-1 half for W7M.
Get the hell out of here, W7M. This is crazy. The patience, the cadence, everything about it, John. I'm loving every moment of this W7M gameplay. And the craziest thing about this is BDS are the farthest thing from a slouch team, and W7M
Look at their game versus auction yesterday.
They're just beating them down, man.
Yeah.
This is difficult for BDS right now. They really cannot hold a candle to what W7M's potential is in a lot of these clutch moments.
Nice shot there for BDS on the 590 through the hatch. Unfortunately, did not make up the difference here, as we're going to see KZ once again pick up that double kill, just managing it all with his teammate, crouching down there if he needed the support. Thankfully, both those members of BDS, like we said before, were one-shottable. So a pretty quick shutdown there for another player at full HP. Half is over, sides have flipped, and W7M now in the defense.
KZ's got the little drone blockers. I haven't got to cast with those yet, so that'll be interesting. They did the little noise thing, right? The little noise challenge, and that was like the first one. And I was like, that's Malusi's Banshee, right? Heck no.
No.
Nah, dude. Nope. completely wrong. I haven't used one of them yet.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know or hasn't watched the Siege tournament in a while, those are going to... Oh, well, not that one, because it just got destroyed. But normally, those little lines that you just saw on the ground, it basically blocks the drone's POV, is what it does. So if you have a drone on the inside here, obviously normally you'd be able to get good vision onto like this outside library hold. Now you can't. They got to move the drone past it physically, which means that the defenders can more than likely knock that drone out pretty quickly.
Very random utility.
It's good, though.
Yeah, no, I haven't got to see too much play with it, obviously, just yet. But like when they introduced it, I was like, this could definitely throw a spanner in the works. I can see how this could be a little annoying at times. So we'll see if it ends up giving any nuisance. Oh my.
Looks like it's going to work to start things out here as Herds just waits for that flash to fade away. And immediately gets the fade-off headshot there to take down Shaiko. Removes the Yana from play as well, so all that additional free drone intel is gone. Not necessarily the biggest loss from that player, but still is going to hurt in the long run here if they end up reaching a hard spot where they're not able to get a clean entry. It looks like BDS have a pretty well-asserted plan. They're going to go for the green screen plan, it looks like here, and that's the problem. You still have the hatch play to work against. They have yet to take library. JV92 is still holding this corner. Like a fact, I still think outside the window right now is trying to catch anyone peeking from connector, but they have no reason to do so.
This is just completely unhinged, John. They were not on the same page at all, and that's why they're going to get just bowled over here. EFAC, he's got the glass. He's going to try and solve things on the top floor. Does he tag him? I think he tags Herds once. That second shot will end up downing him, so a potential 2v3 here. But now they can't give up the goods. W7M, they've gotten the hard work done, the heavy lifting over, and the response time from KZ, man, like a firefighter, springs to action, able to save his teammate and get him off the ground. It's all left up to Renshiro.
Shiro up against the possible odds. It seems it indeed will remain impossible. KZ gets himself out one final time to shut it down, and that's already a very quick map point for W7M. It's 6-1 here.
Man, feels like game's done quick right now. The speed run.
I mean, this is definitely one of the faster.
This is one of the fastest chalets we've ever
T1 games I've ever casted.
Yeah, for sure. This is probably one of the fastest chalets you and I have ever touched.
This throws me back to like that NA LAN we did in 2019 in Vegas, where you had like 92 Dream Team. That's like that's how fast this is feeling right now. Like,
drip boolin'. Isn't that what? Dude, I swear to God, that's when Doodle was playing on.
Yeah, that was like the old LG team. Yeah, what became the LG team.
Did you know that I was the coach of that team for 24 hours before ESL told me that I couldn't be the coach of that team?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I was going to be the coach of 92 Dream Team for that entire split. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Good little meme there. But, well, this is definitely not a joke.
All right,
clearly with the scoreline, right?
It's basically, let's see if W7M can get like the demoralizer right now. The 7-1 scoreline against BDS, winning these rounds at record pace as well. It's not really gonna, like, there's not a whole lot that BDS are gonna have to talk about is the problem, because they're losing things so quickly as well.
Dude, they're trying to make Shaiko go back to his room and just like have a conversation with himself in the mirror. I'm talking to the man in the mirror. He's probably asking him to change his ways too, low-key. He's like, guys, please, it's one round. Especially just knowing how good you are, right? If you were that as talented as Shaiko, I would be so pissed off right now. 3-7, I mean, like, what the hell are we doing, guys? BDS, let's wake up here, folks. W7M are playing a hell of a game, though, and you cannot understate that. Really, at the end of the day, you can give some slide over to BDS, but W7M are just that talented.
Like the fact, unfortunately, with the tape rip from too far away. Oh, hold on.
Oh, my.
Impact's coming out and hitting him pretty hard, it seems.
And he didn't get the middle either. Oh, John, he's in so much trouble, bro.
Oh, he got down, too.
Yep, I told you. You can't do that. You can't do that.
All right, well, the good news is he should get brought back up at least. I think. No, another one got down as well. Look.
Yeah, this is really bad, John.
This is getting
I can't understand how terrible this is. like I wish that there was like a phrase I could
Herds,
use.
You're good. Just go for it, man.
This is the Titanic of what can happen on Garage, basically. Like, everybody's going to be low HP. Renshiro's crawling away. They have to try and prone out to take any of these angles, and JV's just going to be able to tag anybody up that crosses this.
Herds realistically could have done that run out, too. He probably would have got a kill on that run out there. He might have gone 1-1, but...
I mean, I guess the good news is, technically speaking, is that they could, I guess, have Brede blow the panel. But the problem is that then he would only have one breach for the other side, and JV's more than likely going to try and, like, trick or just do something.
I think they're just going to switch to a wine take.
Yeah, we'll have to see here. That's the smartest bet here. You have to, especially with the timing right now. So we'll have to see. But that also means that they have to clear out this entire portion of the building. So Uh-oh.
Speed run time for BDS here as they're going to try to clear the other half of the map with only half the round remaining. The good news is that Like Effect does at least get free main lobby stairs control to work down here, but as you're going to see, they've also got electricity sitting on at least that primary wine wall as well, so it's not an easy one they can just walk up to. From what I'm looking at, they don't actually have another EMP to work past this either. Like Effect, I'm not sure. He should have enough gas left in the tank there to be able to pop up one of these walls.
Stop holding this angle, bro. So many people are spamming that door. Please, please. That's like 4 times I've seen somebody get pre-fired off that.
Here we go. Like Effect's going to try to get at least a small opening onto the wall. The nade does land and get it down onto Herds here. That's a pretty big piece of the defensive puzzle on this immediate angle. Like Effect looks like he just wants primarily the angle to play off of here. We're going to see Shaiko be given that angle to play into, but no results as of yet other than the Herds down from before. Defensive utility still coming out as well here. Like you're seeing that Goyo canister just exploded out. It's going to bring us down. Oh, no, unfortunate. The good news is we have an in-game feed, so a little bit of a radio cast here. It's coming down to the wire. Looks like once again a lead for BDS as they've turned it around. JV92 and Filippo, the only defenders left standing here with 10 seconds left to go. Bride goes for the plant, halfway towards it, but Shaiko now responds to bring it all onto Filippo. Filippo battles his way back onto site, but no way to deny the plant, so Bride succeeds in putting it down onto the ground. It's a 1v3 for Filippo here as he pushes himself forward back into it. Filippo rounds the corner, but unfortunately cannot take control of this mantle. Bride shuts him down, and BDS stays alive for at least one more round.
All right, well, it was a sinking ship initially with all that damage coming out from the garage, but BDS able to strike true on the other end as W7M are kind of tattered from the utility usage there from BDS. The entry power pretty strong there too, as we saw Shaiko able to take up quite a few bodies, as well as that big one over there on blue that we were talking about initially. But as you said, that will stave off the ending here of Chalet, at least for the time being. We are going to jump into a little tech break here and just make sure everything's good on our side, folks, before we throw y'all back in. But it is going to be 6-2, still in favor of W7M, obviously. A long road ahead for BDS to try and force overtime, with W7M having a lot of options here for themselves when it comes to site selection.
Good job from BDS, obviously, as we can talk more about this now, on just kind of taking a very patient step back there and being able to make that decision at the halfway mark to, okay, we're going to go replay now too, and just rotate back around and play onto the other side of this execute. Thankfully, they had enough time to get both of these walls open as well, and once that was the case, we already saw W7M execute the same exact way towards the tail end of the first half. It works just as strongly for BDS with both of those walls open. There's not really a whole lot the defenders can do unless you have like the full breadth of the team countering out both of those push points, which W7M could not do due to the earlier loss of one of their teammates there from that initial nade when BDS first approached that site.
W7M definitely had what it took to take that round, but BDS, understanding the default positioning of that setup, able to exploit it to its fullest. Once again, like we were saying, BDS is not a slouch team. This is not a team that even looks like the scoreline should be existing, to be honest with you, especially with the gameplay that we saw yesterday. Their team play was so unbelievably dynamic, especially on Bank. I really loved every moment of what we were seeing there. But now, BDS with an opportunity to make a little history, honestly, here at Gamers8 if they're able to bring this back and give us a show on Chalet. See if they can accomplish this, but W7M obviously trying to make sure that this map is completely forgettable, as looking to close this out in 7-2 fashion.
W7M also now falling back over here towards the dining room where we finally saw BDS able to pick up their first round on the defensive side. So W7M will be relying on some of those same strengths of this site to hopefully seal the deal on number 7 here and prevent us from going onward further into this map. The faster W7M can shut this one down, the more energy they're going to be able to preserve, the better off they'll be here for a longer series. Of BDS is going to be a bit more strongly positioned for the later maps of this series, which I think might end up being the case here. Away from that, though, we've got BDS spawned in. No real surprises when it comes to the operator lineup. Very heavily focused on dealing with the insight utility. As you can see, both the Flores as well as the Bravo have been brought to the table this time around here, as well as Rensher, of course, on that line to catch any more mobile members of W7M when BDS take those critical areas of the map under their control.
Go balcony action for Renshiro initially. Just gonna pop the window open, get some things prepped up down the line for himself. Lems will be on the Brava this time around. Past that though, a usual cast of characters. They have the Flores worked in for the very first time here, which is surprising with the amount of utility that we've seen that could have definitely been exploitable by him. Great find there from a Lems, free up the wall. It's a little bit easier for the hard breach. Top floor presence here from W7M. Saw what BDS able to do in a position like this the last time, to win out that defense. BDS, very aware of this situation. They're trying to make sure that they do not cross this bridge, making sure that there's some potential trouble around the way first.
Won't be the entry onto the inside of the window here for Lems. He spotted not only the frost mat, but a pretty brutal cross from the inside of kitchen there. So we'll be more than likely avoiding that thing. The frost mat's easy to deal with. It's just the actual hop in here. More than likely need a distraction upstairs or something to be able to truly go for that one. Red Shiro, we'll check in with him in a moment. He's about 5 more hits away from knocking that thing away. So give him a second. Away from that, we are seeing a lot of heartbreaks utilized here to get that office control and get it very quickly, potentially. However, W7M still with quite a bit of a player base up here. Will be resisting it for a bit longer. KZ specifically still holding onto the inside of the master bathroom, and a few other players still hiding on the back end. This is a big nade, and indeed, it's going to land truly on top of her. It takes him down. No response to come in from Filippo either, as he's also going to get dropped by Alems. Looking much more consistent here from BDS. It's taken them a long time to wind up for this swing, but W7M seem powerless to resist it now that BDS have all the necessary info to commit to the execute. Nade trying to hold back this lobby entry point, and finally a response does come through from KZ specifically. Nade does succeed in fending off that player over by main lobby, but KZ upstairs is lost on a trade. JB92 just barely survives his own cross. Back over here through Trophy. It's the cross once again. Thankfully, no attention paid to him. He goes for arguably the more risky one right there. He already knew he had a player against him from the inside of Trophy window. Job is done though. He's made it back to site, but there's still a player down, and both him as well as Nade are at low HP. This is a flip of round 6 here. Let's see if they can win it from the reverse situation. JB92 picks up the first one, but immediately goes down. Breeding clean to go for the plant, and Nade a little bit lost in the sauce, unfortunately, as he just gets taken down from an off angle. That's going to be BDS continuing to recover here as they pick up another round.
There we go. Offensive mindset here on Chalet, as we would expect for this map. So looks like BDS will have somewhat of an opportunity here, but as we've been talking about, kind of a big issue when you're staring down the barrel of this score line. W7M, they're going to head back towards Master and Office after that successful round there from BDS. Very strong clear on the top floor. Not only were they very capable when it came to their utility game, but as soon as it was time to push ahead, Shaiko was there. He was very, very loud. Alems with the back end hold as well really assisted them with that top end clear. BDS, though, still a little bit of a run ahead of them. Let's see what W7M are capable of in this very next round.
BDS able to kind of slow down the pacing a bit more here now that they're on the attacking side as well. Better time for analysis on W7M's position, and more importantly, time to figure out how to counter those very same positions. Works out great for BDS in that previous round, and they just need to keep on going with this. For W7M, now it's time for them to adapt, find ways to get around some of these slower setups that BDS is going for, subvert the expectations, and maybe, once again, find a round through that avenue.
Hurts? They let the castle barricades sit, so they're all thinking that they're safe in their little homes, and then they kill them.
And then meanwhile, KZ on the other side of the map is also peeking out there. Thought it was the distraction from the main bedroom, but no longer the case. Lems goes down. There goes the Lion, too, so a pretty big loss there with regards to the utility that goes down with him.
Especially when you have, oh my gosh, Chalet. You Chalet in play. I don't know why that was escaping me there for a second, but either way, we're going to Glass Tower, baby.
Yeah. No free window peek intel here for Renshiro on the crosses from that Lion. So,
I mean, barely anybody already crosses this, so I'll be interested to see the potential of this position here from Renshiro. Usually when this window gets opened or anything like that, especially because like he kind of gave up the goods with the lance there, right? He shot the castle barricade.
I know there's a Chalet on the side, so no one's going to peek it knowing that.
Yeah. And also,
especially with the current position he's maintaining, that's like a pixel headshot for the other side of it. So.
You are absolutely right, buddy. If I remember correctly, that the wood beam there actually does not take any bullets at all. So you're 100% correct. They actually have to slip it right through the cracks.
So a little bit of a slow lead up still from BDS because they aren't able to lock in any immediate kills on that door opening. Still obviously a few of these castle barricades to be dealt with as well. A little close there.
Shaiko was going to blow himself up there for a split second.
Thankfully he had a few extra seconds, so realizes his mistake. It's out of dodge. And once again, BDS seem relatively prepped for initial positioning to take here, but still a little bit of hesitation as they play into that more default style of attack.
I'm starting to get worried here, John. They're slowing down a little bit. We've seen what W7M is capable of in some of these situations where they're able to just get one over on BDS in a very surprising fashion, and then the rest of the round is all for naught. But Shaiko, gonna know his position because of this barbed wire smack. He's got the frag grenades as well, just one left in his pocket. W7M, though, the patience play from them. JV92 will fall back instead of standing 10 toes on that positioning more forward inside of office, which is fantastic play coming in this last minute.
W7M giving over the respect to BDS, allowing them to move in. Keep in mind, you can see those blue silhouettes down below. There is going to be an attempt to pinch out this attack when they move into the site here. Shaiko strikes true, however, on the entry and eliminates Herds on that bedroom door. He goes down. Another one picked up by Bride on the entry too. JV92 needs to respond, but no, it's another frag from Shaiko instead to eliminate JV92. Filippo and Nade, all that remain here inside of a 2v4 scenario. Plant shouldn't be interrupted here, and Nade, no way to mobilize here as well. Just has to go for the peak. Immediately, Filippo tries to work it from below, but it's the wrong position. Lycofac already finding the hard counter to Nade as well when he peeks that window again. Filippo now left alone here in the 1v4. He's already been found out downstairs as well. They know he's working his way up either through Solarium or, of course, that front lobby stairs, and now they know for certain it's Solarium, of course, with those bullets connecting. He never even spots any of his opponents, it looks like, with the Chalet getting the final shot to shut him down. Just 2 rounds to go, and BDS will trigger overtime.
W7M timeouts, and a little discussion needs to be had there. Shaiko getting away with so very much in that round, and just goes to show once again, if you shoot for the king, you better not miss. They hit him in the chest, John. They didn't hit him in the head. A little Thanos quote there. Get things done for BDS. Going to be looking over these highlight reels here as KZ with that first initial frag that really set the pace for W7M. And I mean, honestly, even with W7M losing the round, I do really appreciate strategically how they ended up playing things out. Very patient, able to try and put BDS into a really bad spot. But when you're playing against somebody like Shaiko, man, that's just always going to be a really difficult thing. He legitimately needed one more bullet to kill Shaiko out of that ump. That was it. And it's just those little minute details, man. You end up hitting that headshot, that's a completely different round for W7M.
Well, not going to end up being the case, so BDS continue the comeback train here. There's just 2 more rounds to go now until they seal the deal on OT. Time has expired for the timeout on W7M's side, so we're going to head back into it now. Time to see, indeed, if W7M can finally lock this one down. It's another kitchen defense is going to be coming up from them. Already faltered on this site at least once previously. Let's see what type of adjustments they make now in order to make up for it on the second and probably last go-around on this site. BDS, of course, bring a similar flair to last time. It was pretty heavily reliant on the drone clear previously, or just the utility clear. We have both the Brava as well as the Flores. Right now, we've just got the Flores, and then a pretty standard assortment aside from that with the Ash as well as the Yana to play on entry here. So Lem's been helping out a little bit on the kind of soft breach department. Hard breaches get swapped as well for Bride. Just a very small change that's going to come in because of that as they move over to the Havana instead of the Thermite for a little bit more ranged access. Now with Ace as well, but it's continuing to evolve here for BDS. They finally do lock in as well. Lems changes one more time also with Sophia.
All right, well, the timeout's been used, and this is indeed crunch time, John. Okay, so the next round, that's when everything gets real hyphy. Lots of pressure. W7M have felt that before. Remember, this is the team that came up second SI this year. Able to finally lift the championship as well, though. This last year, too. Fantastic stuff for them. Is insane for BDS. Also playing extremely well throughout the year. Looking to bring it back here so far. Good drone game from Shaiko. Able to find a Wamai disc before that is eliminated. As KZ has snuck his way back in the library.
He's spotting out the drone there, I think, in the corner, but not able to actually get it. So he will get chased out from his current position there behind the Kiba. Still has positioning to fall back upon, thankfully, so he rotates away from that. Gets himself out of dodge. Will still be able to maintain himself as a blockade against any forward crusade that BDS would try to go for. However, finally locked in, Lycofac is going to end up getting him this time around. Herds goes down first here in the W7M roster as they continue to struggle on these defensive side in early rounds. A stark difference to what we were seeing in the first half and could be the beginning of the end of their lead here if they don't fix it soon. Thankfully, Nade's here to save the day. He'll trade that one back out, eliminates Alems. Lycofac though crunching, and unfortunately, KZ just has no idea it's rolling in. However, just as much for JV92 as he also sneaks up, this time onto Lycofac, trade it back, and more importantly, keep those player numbers even. This is great positioning from JV92. Unfortunately, it's just the decoy for the Yana, so not going to be able to capture anything immediately. Let's get another drone alongside of that, though. It's going to bring the overall count down to just 3 drones remaining for BDS. That'll be a big issue here as they've only gotten through that kind of first phase of the round here, prompting W7M to fall back. Just 3 drones left to go here to get access to the site, and 2 out of 3 of those are sitting on Renshiro as well.
And here's the other issue. How do you dislodge JV92's utility to use your ace? The answer is you probably don't. They got the hatch open, but W7M are playing upstairs. That's their fallback strategy. Nitrocell in 2 hands too, John. This is not looking too hot for BDS, but I've said that before. BDS, they're definitely one of those teams that can prove you wrong. Let's see what they can get done here. The Mute Jammer is going to be holding things up initially, but as we were talking about, there's really no way for them to try and deal with this. He eventually finds one on the top corner, so they will get a break in the wall. I don't know if we ended up getting that Electro Claw down there. He just heard it turned on, so ends up breaking up that. You'll just have the 1 panel here. Riyadh almost committing that, but then realizing the situation was right in front of him. And now with 15 seconds remaining, John, we got to get going here. Renshiro, he's going to swing for the fences. He's going to down 1, pistol out, going 6 instead. He gets him. He was going to try and go for the knife kill, but W7M take Chalet instead. It's an extended stay at Chalet. But it's W7M all day, every day for map 1.
Bit bumpy on the defensive side, mainly due to some great prowess coming out from BDS. To be fair with you, Shaiko finally redeeming himself there in the second half, but it's really the first half that's the big storyline here. W7M just crushing it at 5-1, and like we said before, with record pace as well, so fast on a round-to-round basis, not even giving BDS